Good morning and welcome back to the channel. Today we're visiting Boscastle in Cornwall. Just noticed on arriving actually in Boscastle we parked in the car park at the top of the harbour and looked over to the left and saw an unusual Christmas tree which I thought we'd go over and have a quick look at, and it turned out it was made of lobster pots, which is quite an unusual thing to see, covered in lights and a star on top. It was great. Got distracted a little bit because Tina wanted to go to the little girl's room. Pretty typical on arriving anywhere. Boscastle is a 16th century harbour town. It's one of the most scenic villages in Cornwall's north coast. Boscastle has a postage stamp sized harbour built to handle trade in slate from the nearby quarries. The village is located in an area of outstanding natural beauty, and the medieval harbour is maintained by the National Trust. There is wonderful walking along the cliffs and inland. Following swiftly flowing rivers, one trail leads beyond the harbour to Willer Park Headland, where you can see a coastal lookout tower created from an old folly. Nearby are ruins of an Iron Age cliff castle. Inland of Willer Park is Forbury Stitches, an ancient field system composed of long strips separated by unploughed ridges. The field system was laid out in medieval period but follows a system of farming begun in the Celtic period. The stitches or strips are still being framed in a traditional way, with crops rotated each year and a fallow period where animals are allowed to graze the plot. As you can see here, as we walk down, there's some lovely little shops on the left hand side there, a bakery, I think there's a newsagent and maybe a little cafe on the left hand side. Certainly one over on the right hand side, you see a little hotel, cafe, etc. And there's actually a pottery shop which you went into. It's a beautiful little place run by an old chap who likes to talk quite a bit while you're shopping around, but definitely worth a visit. The quay was built in the Elizabethan period and hardly been altered since. It helps protect the harbour, once one of the busiest in North Cornwall. Because the Cornish coast was such a dangerous place until the 19th century, boats would put into Boscastle rather than attempt the dangerous landings elsewhere. But even at Boscastle, entering the harbour could be fraught with peril, so every ship was towed into the harbour by a hobbler boat rowed by 8 men, while more men on shore used ropes to keep the ship in the centre of the channel. Once ships were safely at anchor, goods were offloaded and put onto carts. Strong teams of horses pulled the carts up the steep slope out of Boscastle. The horses were often kept at the palace stables, which is now the youth hostel. The heyday of the shipping trade in Boscastle came to an end when the railway reached North Cornwall in 1893. Trade declined and Boscastle dwindled in importance to become a base for pleasure craft. One of the unusual features at Boscastle is the Devil's Bellows. This is a blowhole located under Penally Point. When conditions are right, rushing water through the blowhole produces a horizontal jet of water and reaches almost halfway across the harbour mouth. Beside the harbour is one of the most unusual museums in England, the Witchcraft Museum, a fascinating look at witchcraft in world culture, with a collection of objects associated with various forms of witchcraft around the world. The crystal balls and the broomsticks and the paraphernalia used for divination. Much of Boscastle and the surrounding area of coastline is owned by the National Trust. Part of the estate is the Valency Valley, where novelist Thomas Hardy came as a young architect to restore the medieval church of St Juliot in 1870. Here he met his first wife Emma. Hardy used Valence Valley and the surrounding area as inspiration for his novel A Pair of Blue Eyes. In 1912, after Emma's death, Hardy paid for a memorial tablet made by a stonemason from Boscastle, and you can see the memorial against the north wall of the church. A long but very enjoyable walk follows footpaths up Valence Valley to St Juliot's, then loops around the historic Minster Church, set in a glorious wooded glade, before returning to Boscastle by way of Forbury. The beauty of Boscastle now belies a great flood that occurred on the 16th of August in 2004. 4 buildings were demolished and a further 58 were flooded out. And there was an estimated 440 million gallons of water flooded through the village that day. Now the village is back to its natural beauty, as it has been for many centuries. As we take a walk along or down towards the harbour front, we're passing the National Trust offices, which has got a really nice cafe actually inside if you want to go and have a break and have a drink. But it's a really pretty walk, as I say, down to the harbour itself. Just we go a little further here and around to the right in a minute, you'll get to see is the Museum of Witches that was mentioned a little while ago in the commentary. It's a really interesting place, and unfortunately every time I've been down to here, Boscastle, I haven't managed to get in to have a look round. It looks quite an interesting place, so it's definitely on my list to visit at some point in time. I'll just have to keep an eye on the opening times. I expect they're seasonal, but as I say, definitely worth. And there's the wife on the broomstick. Look at that. She must be the shadow of the sun that's hitting them at the moment. But all joking aside, definitely worth coming to have a look at, say, when the season's there. And the small cottage in front of you is another little cafe actually that opened up a couple of years ago. Bit of a hickory-pickory roof there, which you notice, but again, a really nice coffee place. This is the really end of the walk from the right hand side. You'd have to cross over the bridge and go over to the left to get down to the actual harbour itself and look out at sea. We didn't go down this day because it had actually driving, I don't know if you can see, it's driving rain and the wind was really gusty. So we decided to take a walk back at this point in time and find somewhere warm to get a coffee. Again, thank you for joining me on my channel, and thanks for this look around with me at Boscastle, a beautiful little harbour town. Please come and visit when you're in Cornwall next. Thanks for watching. See you again. Goodbye.